Saturday, and the reason that I'm doing this on Saturday is because it was VE Day yesterday and we had a street party, and Nick, who does live with us, I am not giving treatments out at the moment because obviously we are in isolation, so I don't want anybody to think I'm breaking any regulations. Nick had a little bit of a party yesterday, didn't you, Nick? Partied a bit too hard and now has backache. So she has my Celluma Pro on the aches and pains mode. Today I am going to talk about the Celluma, but first of all I'm just going to do a recap on last week's Physiology Friday, which was about the skin. So it's a very brief recap, and obviously if you want to listen to last week's where I go into a lot more depth, please do. But what I want you to note from the recap is the different layers have different cells which the Celluma works on. So last week we had, I mentioned you have the epidermis, which is the top of 3 layers of the skin, which is what makes us waterproof. You then have the middle layer, which is the dermis, which is where most of the action happens within the skin. And then you have your subcutaneous layer, which is the bottom layer, which is where most of the collagen and elastin is made that helps to give the skin its integrity and bounce. So, to understand how the Celluma works, I'm going to come back to this picture in a second, I want to introduce you to the cell. Different layers of the skin have different types of cells, but each cell is very, very similar. They all have a nucleus. Structure of the cell, they all have like little packets of energy, little factories. Of this little talk, I'm going to call my little red factory there the mitochondria. And the reason that the mitochondria is so important is because it's an energy factory. It's the energy of the cell. You need to feed that mitochondria. So as with most things, you have a raw material that goes into the cell, or into anything. You have a raw material that goes in, and you have a waste product that comes out. Now, if for whatever reason your cell has a problem, then the mitochondria, the energy within that, might not work so well. So I'm now going to draw a mitochondria. So your mitochondria, your factory of energy, is within the cell. You have your main energy production. Let's write production. So the production of energy is the mitochondria. Now what I want to try and, you know, I like my analogies. If you don't know that by now, you've not watched enough Physiology Fridays. So my analogy of a cell is your cell is the car. Your mitochondria is the engine. And what we want to come in is the fuel. You know all about anatomy and physiology, that's what we call the ATP. But for Physiology Friday, stroke Celluma Saturday, I want to keep it in layman terms because this is really quite hard to get your head around. So, let's give an analogy now of a car. So, you get into the car and your tank is quite low down, it's verging on empty, but you've got a really important meeting to get to. So, what you're going to do is drive that car really, really slowly to the garage because you want to get to the meeting, but you don't want to run out of fuel. Now with a cell, if your cell isn't working very well and you're getting a bit low on fuel because it's compromised, it will still get around the body, but it'll be a bit slower, it'll be more sluggish, it won't work so well. So, what this amazing bit of kit does is it blasts wavelengths of energy into that cell to make the cell more efficient, and that is how LED light emitting diodes work. So you're bypassing the trip from the drive to the garage and just getting a fuel emission straight away from your Celluma. So, why did I choose the Celluma above other LED devices? The reason for me was quite easy. First of all, it's FDA and CE approved, but second of all, it's 3-in-1. So I got 3 devices in one. So I have an acne device, acne setting, a red light setting, and an aches and pains setting. To the skin layers now, so you can see how different settings on that work within the skin. We have a blue light setting. Works on acne, and that we measure wavelengths, I should say, in nanometers. Light is actually 465 nanometers. That's the depth that it goes. So it's quite superficial, but it does a cracking job in killing the P bacteria and helps to prevent acne, and it also helps with the immune cells to help prevent further outbreaks. So that's the blue light acne setting. The second, which is actually, I'd say this is the most popular setting, if I'm quite honest, for the ladies and gents actually that come into my clinic, is the red light setting. Setting actually goes as deep as 640 nanometers. So it goes through the epidermis, into the dermis. Now, depending how big you are, and as I've said previously on Physiology Friday, everybody is different. Sometimes it might actually just enter into the subcutaneous tissue as well. Now, the main reason that this setting is so popular is because it has it impacts the cell called the fibroblast, and the fibroblast is what produces what we love, which is collagen and elastin. So basically it's responsible for the texture and the tone of our skin, and that is also along with the keratinocytes, which also help to provide the structural texture of the skin. So the keratinocytes are involved with like the tone of the skin, and also I do have a lady that comes and has her hands under the Celluma, because not only does this setting actually get into the dermis to help with collagen, it also, with regard to the keratinocytes, I always struggle with that word, I do apologise, it helps with strengthening the nails and helps to stop that flakiness of the nails, and it also makes your hair, if you have it over your face, look really, really healthy. So with regards to the car and being fuelled, your collagen levels are being refuelled by the light. They're not having to go to the garage, and any sort of damaged tissue from ageing is straight away getting that energy to produce and make the collagen. So your mitochondria, your keratinocytes and your fibroblast cells are all working, and you're getting that blast of energy into those cells for great worth. And then finally, we have what Nick's under at the moment, which is the infrared setting. setting actually goes really deep, so it goes into the subcutaneous tissue, and sometimes it can actually go as far down as to bone, and this is 880 nanometers on this device, which I absolutely love. And the reason that I actually bought this device, there is a story behind it as well as for aesthetics, is because this time last year I was actually on crutches, and the joints within my back from an injury within the hospital actually caused my cells to be rather inflamed, and I had quite a lot of tissue damage. So the infrared deep really helped with my joint pain and stiffness. It helped to decrease muscle spasms, and also if you say have had an operation, it's really good for wound healing. So just to put a little bit of my story in there, here I am now. I was dancing on the street yesterday. I'm no longer on crutches. This piece of equipment to me is like gold dust, and like I said before, within the cell, the mitochondria is the gold dust. It gets the energy from here right down. Now the setting that Nick's on, obviously the setting that I believe had a big impact on my recovery, actually stimulates as far as 2.5 centimetres, which is 25 millimetres. So we know that because Nick's really slim, and you can see how close that light is to her, that this is going right down into her bones and joints, so she's going to have a really nice result after this and be pain-free this evening. So I'll just do a very quick recap on today's session. So I want you to think of the cell as a car. There's always something, isn't there, on lives? So the car is your cell. The mitochondria of the cell is your engine, and what we want into the engine is energy, which is the fuel, to fuel your cells to get the most out of your body. So everybody likes to have extra energy. It makes us feel good, it makes us in turn look good. If you're in pain, then let's face it, it has a negative impact on your mental health. So if you don't feel good, you don't feel that you look good, it all swings and roundabouts. And different parts of the Celluma, you've got an acne setting which works on the P bacteria and the immune cells. You have a red light setting that works into the dermis, which helps to produce collagen and elastin to the skin to give a younger, fresher appearance. And then you have an aches and pains setting, which gets the infrared light really deep into those cells to help with pain, wound healing, joint movement. It also helps if you have reduced inflammation, then you have reduced pain pathways, which means again that you're pain-free without taking medication. So that then improves blood flow, which improves oxygenation, and the list really is endless to me what this device can do. So as always, if you did want a consultation during lockdown, please get in touch with regards to the Celluma device or any other treatments that I offer. I will add that whilst we are in lockdown, Celluma are offering these, you can have the Celluma Pro, the Celluma Home, Celluma Sport. There's different models that if you wanted to order through me, they will deliver them direct to your door. So while you are in lockdown, you can still have the ultimate in LED skincare. So thank you for listening, stay safe, and I'll see you next week. Bye!